Next up, folks, we have Rachel from Good Ghosting. She's going to be doing from Hackathon to Kernel and starting a Web3 company. Rachel, how are you today?
Hi, I'm good. Can you hear me okay?
We totally can. Welcome.
Cool. Awesome. And you've got my screen all right. It's sharing fine.
We're locked and loaded.
Cool. Awesome. Okay, cool. Well, thank you for having me. My name is Rachel, and I'm going to talk about from hackathons to a Gitcoin kernel with my project, Good Ghosting. And before I actually just dive into that and talk about our kind of journey and how we came via ETH London and Gitcoin kernel, all these things, I'm just going to have a quick vision of the project and what we're trying to do so people have some context there. So we basically want to end boring savings. So we know that kind of saving is very hard. And then even when we do save, it's really poorly rewarded, certainly in kind of traditional finance. Luckily, we don't need to just deal with that because, you know, we're in crypto and we've got DeFi and there's so many exciting things that we can do in this space. Importantly, there are much higher potential returns, and that is important. But things like composability and building on top of, open protocols, and really excitingly bringing, gamification and more engaging kind of finance models there as well. But still, DeFi is hard for a lot of users. And I pulled these tweets out over summer, and I think it still pretty much holds up. Like, what is yield farming? All of these things, like we're seeing a lot of people get engaged with crypto again with the bull run. But how do we build something that's going to take them from, knowing about crypto, maybe using a centralized exchange like Coinbase, to actually using a decentralized finance product? So this is where Good Ghosting comes in. We offer like an accessible route into DeFi, one that's still going to give our users meaningful returns. And importantly, we want to help our users build better financial habits. So helping them to learn to save and giving them kind of incentive to start building up those assets on a kind of regular cadence. So yeah, that's our vision. And with that in mind, we kind of had this idea of an MVP. And this was actually ideated back at ETH London, which is March last year, which I think was pretty much the last kind of in IRL event that I went to. So we'll always be dear in my heart for that. But yeah, our MVP game it will follow this logic. Users basically join a saving pool, and they'll make regular deposits during that time. So, for example, pool's going to go for 4 months, and then every month they need to deposit 200 DAI. We convert that DAI into ADAI, so it's accruing interest during the time. And then at the end, we can do like our bookkeeping and work out who was a regular saver, who managed to hit all of their saving regular goals, and who wasn't. If you weren't able to save regularly, too bad. Unfortunately, in the context of this game, you've lost the game essentially. But it is no loss, so you will get your principal back. That is your money that does belong to you. But if you were able to save and you hit all of those goals and you were a regular saver, that's awesome. That's really the kind of what we're looking for and what we want to incentivize our users to do. So those savers, they're going to get something a bit extra. They're going to get a slice of the interest. And if you think about it, say if you had, 100 people in the pool, chances are that, 30, maybe 50 of them might drop out and they might not make those regular savings. So you should really, just by the law of averages, get a higher return than you would do if you just saved by yourself. Worst case scenario, everyone does hit all of their regular savings. Well, I actually think that's success because we've actually onboarded people into some really positive behavior. So thinking about our roadmap and how we kind of got started with this project. So yeah, back at ETH London, when we could meet for real, we ideated this over the 2-day hackathon, and we're really happy to win a prize there. It was an amazing experience, staying up to kind of 4:30 in the morning and drinking a lot of energy drinks and ultimately building something really fun over the short space of time. Then after that, we actually this summer kind of reformed the project again as part of the Gitcoin kernel program. This is something that I took part over, I think it was July, August time. It was a really amazing program. I definitely, big shout out to the Gitcoin team. They did a great work of pulling in amazing mentors and really facilitating some really interesting conversations as part of that. And in the Gitcoin kernel program, was able to reform a team, and we've been working on this since summer. But it hasn't stopped there. We had a number of we've hit a number of different milestones. So we got a grant via Avi, which is really nice, an ecosystem grant there as well. Meta Gamma Delta and MakerDAO also have given us a grant to help us bootstrap the project. And we also ran 2 successful Gitcoin grants campaigns. I think we got around 77 in our first campaign and around 60 in our second. It was really nice to see that community feedback and community support and know that there's definitely interest in the project that we're building. So that was really amazing to see. So yeah, I've got this as our kind of prototype for our MVP. So basically, this is the kind of good ghosting smart contract, the logic for the game I explained at the beginning. So essentially, users put in DAI, and it gets converted to a DAI. We have been doing a lot of stuff, and we've been thinking really hard around how to make this, gas efficient, because of course, like the last few weeks and over summer, it showed us just, how high gas can go. We've put in the first stage of that, and that is basically we batch all of the kind of transactions. So users pay in DAI, and we batch all of those deposits, and we do a single transaction into Aave, and that would be something that we would pay, as a project. But of course, we want to, build out from that, and we're, actively looking at Matic or Polygon as a kind of solution to make it optimized for our users. But yeah, this is basically the simple kind of contracts for our first game. But really, this is just the beginning in terms of what we want to do. So coming back to our original vision, which is making savings more engaging and stopping them being really boring and a chore, which they are at the moment. There's a lot of things we want to do. So of course, we're working with Aave, which is amazing, but we do want to kind of broaden that out and bring on other protocols, things like Yearn, etc. And actually, something that I think is really exciting is this idea of a kind of community created games. With the MVP, we're basically setting all the rules. We set like the time frame, we set the amounts, and we're doing that just to get it out there. But we're not really the best placed people to do that. I think it's going to be a lot more interesting when we have a community creating their own games, setting their own parameters, how much they want to save, and actually changing some of the logic of the game as well. So at the moment, we have quite a punitive model. So if you don't save regularly, then you kind of lose out. But I think there's many different ways that you kind of reimagine this. And it could be that, the funds are getting redirected to a cause that you support. Could be that everybody gets the assets that they put in and a share of that, but you'd only get like a good ghosting token if you were a regular saver, etc. So I think there's a lot more we can do on that. We're looking at tokenizing the game as well. And of course, adding, more gamification. So we think that, and it's been shown just, with like challenger banks, that people do want to kind of bring this kind of interactivity into their finance. And we're thinking about kind of things like, maybe you get a badge if you're the first person to deposit in your round, quests, maybe there's kind of leaderboards, all this sort of things, and kind of really borrowing quite heavily from the world of gaming and gamification. And then just some stuff around making it more accessible, because we really see like this sitting in between challenger banks and, more crypto native protocols. So things like fiat on-ramp, making a mobile application, just make it much easier for users to onboard and get the most out of the application. Also notifications, it is hard to keep track of things. And, we're looking at Ethereum push notifications as a pretty cool solution for that. So this could be the future of saving. We're seeing like a fiat on-ramp, mobile application, social pools. You may be joining a pool that your friend has created or your colleagues created, and really bringing that gamification to finance to make it much more enjoyable than the kind of drudge that it is at the moment. We had an application on Kovan, and we ran a load of alpha testing. We did some user testing with this, and we got some really good feedback from our users. So people really like the idea of being in a pool. This social element is really fascinating to people. I think it's almost like you kind of want to know that you're doing well, but you also want to know how other people are doing, and it can be really, really interesting to kind of delve into that. And just kind of making something that's going to make people want to save. But yeah, we've got a lot. We're doing a lot. We've got a QuantStamp code review, which is we're very grateful for the Meta Gamma Delta grant for sorting that out, and also QuantStamp as well for that. And then we're also raising around. We're looking at polishing the front end, obviously the gas optimized version, and then we want to scale up and kind of be this bridge from CeFi to DeFi. So here's a little sneak peek of our UI. So this is kind of a user that has just about to make a deposit of 200 DAI, trying to make it pretty clean and, enjoyable for the users to use. And we're just going to build on that as well. Yeah, and this actually ties into the next point. We're actually going to be launching we're going to be launching a game on Kovan tomorrow. So if you are curious, you can join us, and we're going to be doing an onboarding call. I think it's 7 p.m. CET. So if you scan that, and I'll also paste that link in there, you can join our Discord. We're going to host it on there, and get to grips, have a feel for our UI, and start messing around with the project. We'd really love some feedback on this, because we really want to be, building in a user-centric way and knowing what works for our users and building that feedback into our product. Yeah, and you can also follow us on Twitter, and we've got a website, goodghosting.com, and you can even email us if you want to be traditional there as well. But yeah, I think that is just a very quick whistle-stop tour of it. I don't know if anyone has any questions, or if there's anything that's come up in the chat at all, Shannon.
Hi, Rachel. Thank you for that. That was awesome and very concise. You're well ahead of schedule. Yeah, people are just celebrating it. They want to know more. Thanks for showing us where they can get in touch with you. Curious to know what you're most excited about right now.
I'm actually making it gamified and making this kind of making it so that people can, want to save is really exciting in this. And I think DeFi is such an interesting space, because I really like this idea that you can build on top of other open protocols. And I think this is what really gives it, so much power. So, projects like Pull Together is a really big inspiration for us as well. And thinking that, we can integrate, maybe there could be, a part of a saving pool that goes to Pull Together. And if they win, that could be shared amongst the pools. So I think that's really exciting. And I think as we at the moment when we've launched this, it has been very much our team kind of making the decisions. But as we kind of open it up with things like the factory contract and making it accessible for our users to create their own pools, create their own parameters, I think that's when it's going to get really interesting, because, really interested to kind of see how people can take this and use it.
That's awesome. I've been part of the Pull Together email list and paying attention to the community for a long time now. I'm curious, what does the usership look like these days?
For our product?
Yeah.
So we haven't launched in the wild, because we've been working, on Kovan so far. And we do want to, because of the nature of our application, I think at the moment it is likely we're going to have to integrate some sort of layer 2 solution, just so that users can pay a more granular amount than gas prices currently allow. But having said that, we've grown a reasonable sized community. I think we have around 400 people in our Discord. People keep dropping in and are interested and want to get involved in the project. We've had a few shout outs on crypto YouTube as well. So it's nice to see the idea get traction even before we've launched for real. So yeah, we're very much all about talking to our users, and any feedback, please let us know, because we want to be very user centric with our design decisions.
That's great. And Discord is the best place?
Discord is the place. This is where it's all going down. And yeah, we'll be doing this onboarding with our beta test application tomorrow. So if you're about, I think it's 7 p.m. CET. I'm based in Berlin. So we will be running a little session then, and the rest of the team will be down there as well. It'll be amazing to see some people from ETHDenver pop in.
Awesome. Well, everybody show up, see.
Whoops. Looks like we accidentally lost her. So thank you very much, Rachel. It's really wonderful to hear about all the things that your project is doing, and it's really cool to see things, how they've evolved for you and the project over time. So it's really cool. Excellent. Awesome. Here, sorry about that. We've got Rachel back. Go ahead, Rachel.
Hi, Shannon.
Oh, that was awesome. Any final words you'd like to add?
No, just want to say a big shout out to ETHDenver for letting me present. Also, thank you to all the kind of Gitcoin Kernel and ETH London as well. It's been really amazing to be kind of part of the community here.
Awesome. We're so happy to have you.
Cool.
Awesome.